Hello and welcome along to this WINDTRE Rising Stars Series regional final, this one for the Asia and Oceania region. Let's take you through the grid ahead of this race here at the Twin Ring Mckay. It's Jack Appleyard and Jack Ghost with you, and starting from pole position will be Aki, joined there by Germanos and Tamam.
On the second row of the grid we do have Wan on the KTM with Speed Limit on the Esporama Racing Ducati, and the number 13 Dio Forlondi on the Aprilia.
It's an Indonesian first and second row lockout before we then find Kuta, the Australian on the Petronas Yamaha, Ryan Mckay on the KTM Tectoise there in 8th, our only Malaysian competitor. Before then it's Mr. Buzz on the Pramac Ducati, and the final place on the grid, our 10th and final competitor, Wayu on the Suzuki. These guys battling it out for a place in the 2021 MotoGPeSport ProDraft. Only one place up for grabs, that going the way of the winner. It will be Aki on the Repsol Honda to start from pole position here in Motegi. 10 laps ahead of them and we are underway. A great start from the pole man as the number 90 drives his way down to the first corner. Contact between the man who finished second, qualified second, and it's 1-1 that's gone down. Huge drama there and contact between a whole host of riders. Kuta, the Australian, is down. We've got the Red Bull KTM Tectoise of Ryan Mckay down, and now we've got the Ducati of Germanos down as well. What on earth happens there? It looks as though nearly everybody that went down, the only person that didn't is this man here, Aki. The disappointing thing is 1-1, our KTM rider, looks like his chances of win-win have gone.
Yes, a massive drama at the start, even by eSport standards in MotoGP 2020. That was absolutely ridiculous. There was people face planting, sliding down the road, high siding, tucking the front, I don't even know what. But anyway, it does mean that we've got two Hondas at the front with Aki and Tam Tam, the number 90 and the 94, all the way out front with this man from the back of the grid to third place, the number 3. Looks as though it's doing him a right treat right now. Wayu all the way up to third on the Suzuki. Well played, Wayu on the Suzuki. Battled his way through, managed to avoid the carnage in front of him. Meanwhile, Mr. Buzz, the number 41, touches the grass and down he goes. You don't want to be doing that.
So Mr. Buzz goes down, and now 1-1's through to 4th. You never know, maybe 1-1's chances of win-win actually could be there.
Yeah.
He's already back up to 4th after that earlier crash, but the pole man Aki 2X, the number 90 aboard the Repsol Honda, does look pretty good. Started from pole position, and that's how he stayed out of trouble. That's exactly how you do it. If you qualify poorly, then you're giving yourself the opportunity to fall into any carnage that ensues. One lap done here at Mckay, and it's a Honda 1-2 at Mckay of all places.
Yeah, Honda 1-2 in their backyard. They'll be absolutely loving it. Smiling from ear to ear as we see a Repsol Honda and an LCR Castrol Honda out front. Anyway, so these two then, they've got a massive gap over the rest of the field. So already, as though we've only done 2 corners on the second lap, we can fairly firmly say it could well be a straight dogfight between these two for the 2021 ProDraft place for this Asia and Oceania regional final.
Certainly looks that way at the moment. Aki 2X, unsurprising to see him leading the way. He got a perfect 100 points in the online challenges, the 4 of them that preceded this. Those were, of course, in time attack mode. So now he's having to do a 10-lap race. It'll be interesting to see whether he can convert that across into any form of race pace. So far, so good, though, from the number 90 as he touches the grass there. A little bit of dust kicked up. He's got to be careful as a number 90. If he continues with loose stuff like that, then he will end up onto the deck. We're out of turn 10 then, onto the back straight here in Mckay, under the bridge, downhill now. The 90-degree corner coming up here, hard on the brakes. You can see the rear wheel trying to bring itself up and chuck him over the front end there downhill, but he manages to get it done. A perfect example of exactly how you get pinpoint perfection on the brakes into turn 11. We're then out of turns 12 and 13 and onto the start finish straight here. 2 laps completed, and it's still Aki that leads the way.
Yeah, Mckay, a really difficult circuit for both rider and machine. It's a proper test. Lots of little short, sharp start-stop, little places at the track. Obviously, this first turn, if you ride on board with Wayu in third, it's a double apex right, but it's really difficult to get it stopped and not run wide, as we saw Aki on the lap previous go all the way out onto the green. Wan, he's all the way into 4th. He's not going to be win-win there. He might get a podium, though. Mr. Buzz, he won't be too buzzing about his little tip-off, as we do see him go all the way deep on the brakes, rounding out turn 3, and now firing down to turn 4. This is another really tricky place. It's really difficult to get it stopped here. They've got to be careful. In MotoGP 2020, it's really easy for the rear end of the machine to come up on the brakes. And you'll see a lot of these riders, they've got their perfect setup to stop that sort of thing. As we do see now Germanos Ryan on the factory Ducati closing in on Mr. Buzz on the Pramac Ducati.
And there we go, we'll move up the inside. No, not quite. The 2 Ducatis go in nose to nose here, and at the moment it is Mr. Buzz on the Pramac, the satellite machine that's just got the better of Germanos Ryan. He's high and wide there. Surely Germanos has got through. Yes, he has. Touches the front wheel of Mr. Buzz for good measure, and somehow the number 41 manages to stay on board despite having his front wheel whacked and going onto the dirt as well. Good work by Mr. Buzz to stay upright, but he has lost out on 5th place to his factory counterpart.
I've got to say, just one little bit of appreciation for Mr. Buzz here. The number 41 on the front of that Ducati looks absolutely sensational as we see him going a little bit deep there. As Tam actually set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. But Mr. Buzz with the number 41, you just wonder if that's a little nod to the old 41, the Samurai Slide Nori Haga, obviously a fantastic rider in himself. And yeah, the 41 certainly looking pretty sensational on that Ducati.
Here's Dio Forlandi, the Aprilia. He's out of victory corner there, turn 14 and down the start-finish straight. Meanwhile, much further ahead, I think we're into what, turn 3 and 4 here? Yes, we are, of Aki and Tamam, our leading duo. I did think Aki was starting to pull away, but Tamam is staying with him. The LCR Honda man is not letting the Repsol Honda ahead of him clear off. He's just a little bit wide there, but eventually brings it back to touch the curb. Out of turn 5 then, into 130R here. This is turn 6. Brilliantly named corner, and a brilliant corner full stop as well. Super fast. That fast right flick into turn 7 and now 8. That is the S curve, and then we'll quickly go into turn 9 right here, the V corner. Good work from Aki so far to hold off Tamam.
Yeah, certainly. As you highlighted 130R there, it's a proper hero corner. They come through their third or fourth gear, sliding the rear, just controlling it perfectly on the throttle. A little bit of rear brake to keep it all under control. It really is sensational to watch MotoGP bikes go through there. And I want to highlight one other place Jack already has, but turn 11 here. You've seen in real life in MotoGP over the years, plenty of riders struggling to get it stopped here. Think of Casey Stoner when he almost went over the front when he grabbed the brakes and they weren't quite there, so he took a second grab and had to go on into the gravel. And also Danny Pedrosa, if you think to a few years ago, there was that perfect slow-mo shot of him with the rear wheel just riding in the air, about a foot in the air, absolutely perfect. Fantastic precision, obviously on a Repsol Honda as well.
Tamam closes in through the opening couple of corners here. The number 94 is staying with Aki at the moment. No way through just yet though, as the number 90 holds position out front in this Rising Stars regional final for Asia and Oceania. Remember, only one prize up for grabs, that going the way of the winner, a place in the 2021 Pro Draft. So it is a proper win it or bin it type of final. There's no point leaving anything out there. There's no point thinking of putting a championship ride together and thinking, oh, I'll take second place today, because second place results in what, Jack?
Absolutely nothing.
Amen. So that's why they're throwing everything at it here in Mckay. We're up to half race distance, or just about 4 laps completed. We're on lap 5 of 10. We'll be up to half race distance very shortly, but at the moment it's all about these two Hondas out front. Aki leading the way still, ahead of Tamam. Wayu's there in third, 1-1 in fourth on the KTM. Germanos has not been able to make any inroads, having got the better of his fellow Ducati Mr. Buzz a couple of laps ago. Speed limits in 7th, Theo Ferlandi in 8th, Kuta the Australian in 9th, and Ryan Mckay, our final rider, in 10th place at the moment. Hard onto the brakes one more into 90-degree corner, and that's a mistake from Aki. A mistake, he cuts across the grass on the inside, and now Tamam is right with him. He gives him a little kiss on the rear wheel. Normally you want to go in front of him, maybe to the side, left or right. You're not going to be able to go through him, Tamam, as he tried to do there. Out to victory corner, onto the start-finish straight. Half race distance has now been completed, and are we going to see a change for the lead? No, we're not. I did think for a second Tamam was going to move on the inside, and there he does. Oh, contact between the pair, the rear wheels off the ground as well. The side-by-side as we go up towards turn 3. Aki's got the inside line. Surely he's going to hold on. Yes, he does. Oh, a little bit of drama, a little bit of controversy between the pair as Tamam goes down. The pair had contact just moments earlier and he managed to stay upright, but now pushing the front too hard into turn 3. The front end folded, and now Aki has got first place all to himself, a comfortable margin in front of Wayu as well. We've got 5 laps remaining here, 4.5 now in Mckay, but surely now it's Aki's to lose.
Yeah, it does mean now he is absolutely nailed on for that 2021 Pro Draft place. It's his race to lose, and unbelievably, Wayu from the back of the grid, 10th place, has come all the way through to second. He managed to avoid the chaos at the start, and he's avoided more of it now, but he does have Wan closing in on his tail, the number 32 KTM. We've seen how good KTMs have been in real life in MotoGP this year.
Well, and in the Global Series as well.
That was close. Wayu just took the front a little bit there, and as you say, yes, they've been absolutely fantastic in the Global Series. Oh,
adding insult to misery. I think Tamam's gone down again. Yes, he has. He was up to 4th after that crash. He's took the front again. Well, I think so. He might have had a high side and spat himself to heaven, but he's in 5th at the moment now. Another crash, and that surely is the final nail in the coffin for Tamam. He will not be in the 2021 Pro Draft. Well, he might be, but he's certainly not going to be in it through this regional final. Germanos is there in 4th with Tamam for company now behind him. The LCR Honda man right on his rear wheel and looking for a way through as soon as possible, I think. Is he going to be able to do it here into turn 1? No, he's not.
Ooh, he's
going to run wide as well. No, not too much. It's not a bad line as long as he gets back to the apex on the inside out of turn 2 is okay. Now let's see if he can get through turn 3 okay this time around. This is exactly where his dreams, his hopes, his aspirations all shattered in front of him. This time he's able to get through. He's not had a nightmare repetition this time around, but he will be dreaming of hopefully trying to build his way back through this race. First on the agenda is Germanos Ryan.
Yeah, certainly. So we actually just see Germanos Ryan just go a little bit wide there under the cat. He's struggling to get it stopped. Tamam, we've also seen occasionally just missing that initial apex, but cutting it back for a really late one and getting the Honda hooked up and fired out. So possibly that's just one little tactic. And he's basically in the same role again, but instead of going for the lead this time, it's for 4th place. He's putting pressure on Germanos Ryan. And it seems as though there may just be 1 or 2 cracks just starting to show, as we see once again him cutting it back for that late apex as they run up the hill to turn 10. You see he can get it stopped neatly and fire it out down the back straight to 11.
Here's the race leader. Akip still looking comfortable out front, hard onto the brakes into 90-degree corner, turn 11 under the bridge before we edge our way closer through to Victory Corner. There's turn 12, turn 13 now, right for turn 14. Victory Corner out onto the start-finish straight. Perfectly done by Aki as he continues his march towards race victory here in the WINDTRE Rising Stars Asia and Oceania regional final in the MotoGPeSport global. Well, no, we're not in the global series, are we? But we're in the MotoGPeSport vicinity anyway.
Yeah.
There we go. I think I've ticked every box.
Yeah, just about. That's the end result, Jack. So we may as well say that that's what they're going for. You may have just seen there pop on your screen. The misery continues for Ryan Malik, who had another crash, already in last place, but he's just gone down once again. As we do come back to Tamam, he's actually lost a little bit of time to Germanos Ryan on that last lap. So it seems as though the Ducati man is just putting in clean, solid laps and just making sure he holds on to that 4th place.
Well, that's unsurprising, really. I mean, these two qualified 2nd and 3rd on the grid, don't forget. Germanos Ryan was 2nd, just a fraction behind Aki, the pole sitter, with Tamam there in 3rd as well. So the pair of them have got extremely good pace around here, but unfortunately they're paying the price for crashes. The reason that Iwayu is in front of him, the Suzuki man right here, he did qualify dead last on the grid, but he hasn't had a crash. So that's exactly why he finds himself in 2nd place. And what a remarkable story it would be if Aki comes under any problems, whether it be grip, whether it be fuel possibly as well, as we saw Andrew ZH run out of fuel in Jerez, don't forget, at the opening Global Series round. If Aki was to do that and Iwayu picked up the pieces, what a story that would be for the Indonesian. Starting last, nobody would have given him a chance in hell of picking up the win. And if he continues with lines like that through 90-degree corner, I don't think he's going to pick up the win. However, if he continues as he's doing, you never know, he may well be just right in contention as the laps tick by. Talking of that, there is another lap tick by. Just 2 remaining now of Mckay, with Iwayu getting a track limits warning. He's going to have to be careful in these final 2 laps. He's especially going to have to be careful because 1-1 is closing in as well. The KTM man is just bit by bit chipping away on the Suzuki ahead of him. 1.5 laps remaining then for Aki out front. The Repsol Honda man on course for victory, but he could well be coming under a little bit of grip issues. Look at that Michelin rear tyre. Yeah. It is shredded and half.
Certainly the graining on the right side of that Michelin rear tyre is pretty evident, and that's exactly what you get around this Motegi circuit. They're just, I thought he took the front there for a moment, almost had a heart attack. They're just coming through now at 130R, under the bridge and through it, 3rd, 4th gear, sliding the rear, and that's exactly what is doing that damage to that rear Michelin slick tyre. As we see Wan close in, it's actually really close now. It could be close enough for a move coming into the final lap. However, I bet you he will leave it until the final lap, as late as he can, to avoid any chance of Wayu putting in a retaliation.
Now you're probably right, Jack. He'll be holding his cards.
I think you just made up a word there, Jack.
I did that. I was going to say cards close to his chest, but I was too eager to say close, so I went with cards. He'll be holding his cards close to his chest. There we go. 1-1 on the Red Bull KTM factory racing machine. So far, so good for him. Unfortunately, a crash on the opening lap. What a dramatic opening lap we saw as well, as that's exactly what can happen on the brakes into the 90-degree corner. The rear end trying to kick up, spit him from left to right, but he eventually got it under control as he closes back in onto the rear wheel of Iwayu. We're on to the final lap then. Here's your race leader, the Repsol Honda of Aki. We're pretty used to seeing a Repsol Honda take victory around Motegi over recent years. Marc Marquez has been the man around Honda's home circuit, and it looks as though Aki is going to continue that run of form for the Honda factory, unless it can come under some late drama, and then we will see Iwayu or possibly even Wanyu pick up the pieces. Meanwhile, Ryan Mckay, oh God, he's having an absolute disaster. I think I saw him flash up that he crashed about 3 times when I was talking there. Disaster for him. He's definitely not going to win. As 1-1, you can see, definitely pushing there. Back at the front, smooth, calm, collected. Every other synonym under the sun. That is exactly what we can describe Aki as right now. He's got half a lap to go, and a place in the 2021 Pro Draft will be his.
Yeah, he's certainly done the business in this race. He's 10 laps of Mckay while everyone else has had problems, except for Wayu, who we do just cut back to now. Aki at the front, he's been absolutely inch perfect. Ran wide on the odd occasion, but nothing too major. He's been able to regather himself, regroup, and consistently put in those fast laps to streak away from everyone else here.
We're into the final sector at Motegi. Aki looks like he's got it sewn up. It's going to be the Repsol Honda man to take victory in this WINDTRE Rising Stars regional final for Asia and Oceania. The fight for the final podium places is underway with Wayu and 1-1 battling it out. But it's all about this man, the number 90, from pole position, fastest in all 4 online challenges, and now takes victory at the Twin Ring Motegi to book his place in the 2021 MotoGP Esport Pro Draft. A great ride, a determined ride, a tenacious ride from Wayu to pick up 2nd place from the back of the grid. And you can see the frustration for these two right here, Germanos Ryan and Tamam in particular. The Indonesian, he was there, he was in contention at half race distance. Both him and Aki had that coming together, a little bit of a tit for tat, and it was the LCR Honda man that eventually went down, handing victory to Aki. That was the moment of the race, but you can't take anything away from Aki. He certainly deserves his place in next year's Pro Draft, Jack.
He certainly does. Perfection personified, and Tamam, as you say, he'll be kicking himself that one small mistake. He was the only man to challenge Aki the whole race, but this man remained calm under the pressure, didn't buckle, and just rode it home for those last 4 laps in the end. So congratulations to that man. I'm sure that next year in 2021 he'll be one on the booking list of a lot of MotoGP teams.
Yeah, a lot of guys will be looking at him for next year if he can continue that kind of form. Let's just confirm the results for you then for this WINDTRE Rising Stars Series Asia and Oceania regional final, and it's that man Aki 2X, the Indonesian, that takes victory and the grand prize of a place in the 2021 MotoGP Esport Pro Draft. Wayu and 1-1 for the final podium finishes ahead of Germanos Ryan, Tamam, Speed Limit, Mr. Buzz, Gio Falandi, Kuta and Ryan Mckay. But it will be that man, Aki 2X. Don't forget the name, because he will be in next year's Global Series Pro Draft, and he could well be the 2021 MotoGP Esport champion. We'll have to wait and see next year, but it's job done so far for Aki. We'll see him in the 2021 Pro Draft. Thanks for joining us.